All right, and it looks like we will be off here in a couple of seconds. Okay, looks like we're off. First thing they will be doing is going into Cornelia and buying a hammer. Reason being is we need it for a glitch called the equipment glitch. And what it does is when we select our cursor on the weapon for one member and then an armor slot for another member of the party, we switch between the two and hit the cross button at the same time, and it messes with the IDs, allowing us to get knight's armors pretty early. And that allows us to buy some potions, antidotes, phoenix downs, as well as have pretty high armor for the first part of the game. We don't need it on every slot, just one slot is fine. But so far, both runners are pretty neck and neck. It's still start of the game, but execution does matter. So first thing they will be doing after talking to the king, they will be going to a place up north called the Chaos Shrine, and the absolute first thing they'll be doing there is taking a detour left and grabbing a leather cap, simply because it turns into a weapon that's better than what we've got, called the Judgment Staff. It's actually a PSP exclusive weapon, and we will be using it for doing a bit more damage to Garland, hopefully taking him down in one turn. Both getting some decent encounters, better than what could happen. And we see HolySmith and Poorscythe both talking to Garland, and he's ready to knock them both down, but joke's on him, he will be the one that is knocked down. As you see, they are doing pretty high damage straight off the bat due to the Judgment Staff. It is the best weapon that we can glitch at the time. But other than that, he goes down easy, and then we wake up the princess and take her back to Cornelia. All for the sake of being able to leave this little peninsula we're on. And they both will be talking to the princess. It's quicker to talk to the princess than it is to try to walk out. Princess will stop you and give you the loot, which is a necessary item. Older versions of the game actually allow you to walk out, and it can soft lock you later on because you can't finish the game simply because you need the loot. But here we have a cutscene that is unskippable. Rebuilding the bridge, that way we can access another town called Provoca. Throughout the game, if you're not speedrunning, there is actually a cave up north too called Matoya's Cave, but we kind of won't go to that. Not for now, anyway. Story is she's missing her crystal eye and she wants us to go find it, and we're going to do all that without talking to her. For the most part right now, neck and neck. Generally RNG happens and we actually tend to have one runner in the lead by quite a couple seconds, and right now they're both getting about the same RNG. So they're both in this cutscene, and this cutscene is partially skippable, partially unskippable. The fade in is not skippable, but after it fades in, you can skip the rest of it. And they will be on their way to Provoca. One thing we may notice is they are trying to step on the forest tiles the least amount as possible. Reason being is forest tiles have a higher encounter rate, whereas marsh tiles have a lower encounter rate. But most of this area is forest, so it's kind of just easier to go right through it. And here we are seeing HolySmith get a ambush. Ambush, not a good thing to have happen. That case, it wasn't too bad, but if you get a pack of 9, they all get to attack before you get a chance to run, and it's terrible. But here we see them enter Provoca, or HolySmith enter Provoca, and we're just going to go straight to the pirate fight. So Judgment Staff, the reason we glitched it is it has another special property. And here we're fixing to see it. If you're familiar with the NES version, he's literally fixing to nuke them. The Judgment Staff, when used as an item, casts Flare and just wipes them all out in one turn. It's actually quicker to use that than it is to fight them one by one. But Poorscythe, having just a little bit bad RNG and got stuck outside of the town there for a second. But he shall be doing the same. Shall be saying if HolySmith grabbed the leather shield. I did not, or I was not paying attention to it at the time. So we'll see if he grabbed it from the fight or not. Poorscythe, however, did not get a leather shield. We use that to glitch another item later on. But for now, we will be sailing down to Elfheim. Poorscythe actually going for the leather shield. Elfheim is a nice place. We actually go here for gold needles. It is a safety reason. There are enemies a little bit later on that can petrify, and gold needle is the only thing that gets rid of that. We don't grab too many spells, so it's more of a safety. We have had some runners not grab gold needles, and it has cost them. But from here, they'll be going on to the Marsh Cave. Poorscythe getting an unfortunate boat encounter, opting to just full out Judgment Staff them because they are hard to run from, and the Big Eyes has Gaze, which not only takes time but can paralyze, so it's easier just to kill them in that moment. Trying not to rely on Judgment Staff too much because its animation is actually one of the longer spell animations in the game. And here we see Poorscythe actually dock at the far edge. All the tiles with the dock on them don't have any encounters, so it's a lot easier to dock there and then move around, simply because you don't get encounters. It is a little bit slower, but safety, because this game has no RNG manipulation yet, and the RNG essentially does what it wants. And you can get encounters, and encounters are kind of bad, especially depending on what you can get. But here we see HolySmith. He's going through the Marsh Cave, having an actual, decent Marsh Cave. It's an ideal one. Opting to not heal up before the Pisco Demon fight. But, we'll be seeing another use of the Judgment Staff. The Warrior dying there, not too big of a problem. Had it been the Mages or the Thief, it would have been a little bit worse. Reason being is we kind of need the level ups for HP. But Warrior's not that problem, or not that big of a deal to have dead. But here we are grabbing the crown on HolySmith's screen, and the reason being is we actually need to talk to an elf in a broken down kingdom north of the Marsh Cave. give him the crown, and he has the crystal eye. So HolySmith had a good walk into Marsh Cave, and 2 encounters right there after the crown. It goes to show that this game does kind of do what it wants. Getting some Stratos, and on their way here, they will high five. Poorscythe will be going down to get the crown while HolySmith is leaving. Last you'll see in this dungeon after they both leave. Poorscythe is now making the same trek through the 3rd basement that HolySmith did. And this will be kind of the last time you'll see the warrior and the thief get healed up for a while. Reason being is we kind of need them to die later. Just simply because how the experiences work, or experience gains work in this game. And it splits all of the experience points you get evenly. So if you get 2,000 experience points, each member gets 500. And if 2 members are dead, they don't get experience. So it becomes 1,000 experience, and we need to level both mages for spells. So here on HolySmith's screen, we see that he gave the crown to the king, and he turns into the Dark Elf Astos. So, kind of like the pirate fight, the difference is they will have the warrior and the thief attack, and both mages use Judgment Staff. HolySmith getting a really good Astos. Astos sometimes like to cast Death and kills one of your party members, which is not a good thing to have happen because sometimes it targets the mage. But getting a good Astos and a 1-turn kill. Poorscythe, however, will be making his way out of the cave and pretty much going the same route. Is there any intentional level grinding in the PSP run since you are so powerful with item glitching? Yes, there is. That is the reason why we need the warrior and the thief to die. Later on, they will be grinding to level 18 on the mages. And the reason being is they need to be level 19 for spells that we need, namely Teleport and Healara. And other than that, we're just really hoping for good HP rolls as well on the Black Mage and the Thief. We want to have at least 250 by the end of the game, simply because of the fact that Chaos hits hard. So yeah, we'll see Poorscythe going up to Astos' kingdom, the Western Keep, and HolySmith will be bypassing Elfheim and taking the boat up to Matoya's cave. So Poorscythe opted not to grab gold needles just yet. He has plenty more chances. There's 2 or 3 more times that he'll pass Elfheim's town. So we'll be seeing if he grabs it. I'm pretty sure he will. But most runners for the personal bests, they don't grab it. And here we actually see Astos using death on Poorscythe. Poorscythe's side. His warrior went down, which is completely fine. Like, the more experience he gets on his mages, the less grinding he has to do. So that really actually does help him out a little bit. However, it does cost it to be 1 more turn. Here we see HolySmith getting an ambush. And as you can see, it actually is a little bit of a lengthy process. Yeah, they manipulate a spike tile in Ice Cavern, and it has an evil eye, and they grind it because it has the most experience points for where they are, and it's a lot easier to do that than fight random encounters. So it is a forced encounter tile, The downside to that is you only have your mages, and you can get an encounter on any other tile that you step on. So you could end up getting an evil eye and then getting another encounter, and if you get ambushed, Ice Cavern's a bit of a troll place. So here we're seeing a little bit of how the RNG in this game can make a run vary. They were pretty close back and forth, and then just Poorscythe had a little bit of more unfortunate RNG, and he ended up being a little bit behind. How long do these matches usually run for? It really depends. The quickest time that we've had in the tournament thus far, I do believe, is a 127. The longest time outside of forfeits is like a 154. So it varies. It's because of the RNG, but hopefully we won't see a run over 140 here. Both these runners are pretty good. So yeah, I think HolySmith's PB is like an hour 35, and Poorscythe's is like an hour 25. So yeah, they're not really long matches. Just RNG permitting. So HolySmith went to Matoya's cave, gave her the crystal eye, and got the Jolt Tonic to wake up the Elf Prince, and he shall give HolySmith the Mystic Key, and that allows him to unlock doors and chests. And we'll be using that. You'll see HolySmith leave the Elf Castle and then go back in, because it's quicker than walking around. And that's simply because the fact of it is quicker. And he'll be grabbing the Mithril Hammer here to make Thieves' Armlets. And the Thieves' Armlets are pretty good, simply because of the fact that they not only add defense, but they add agility as well. It's like a +5 per one added, and it helps run from some of the sea encounters. Is this game the same as FF1 for the NES? Yes and no. The main story completely the same. Has pretty bad RNG, but NES is pretty bad as well. But the difference is we don't have to grind for money, per se, for equipment. I don't actually watch the NES version other than Randomizer. But I would say that the pathing would be about the same. Just there is a time difference due to this one having the equipment glitch. So here we see HolySmith go back to Cornelia Castle. Need to go behind the castle and enter the backside here, mostly to get the Mithril Knife and the Nitro Powder. And it actually looks like he may be skipping the Mithril Knife. Yeah, I can't give me just a second on that. Okay, skipping the Mithril Knife. So the way the equipment glitch works is we use the memory cursor. So instead of it automatically going to the top of the menu, it stays where it's at. So on, say, the warrior, we have it selecting the weapon, and on the thief, we have it selecting an armor spot. It loads the weapons IDs whenever you switch character and press the confirm button at the same time. And that's a frame perfect trick. Or maybe you have a couple frames. But what it does is, instead of loading the armor IDs because you were selecting weapons and you're moving to an armor slot, it tries to load the weapon IDs. So we get armor with the same weapon IDs. So pretty much what it means is, like, the hammer turns into the knight's armor, the leather cap turns into the judgment staff, and we'll be using it in the next major town after this cutscene on HolySmith screen, which is actually where we can buy the knight's armor. But we don't need it. They'll be buying steel gloves, and they will be making barbarian swords. Now, anybody that's played any other version of the game, mostly the NES and PS1 versions, they'll know that Excalibur is the best weapon in that game. But due to all of its stat increases as well as its actual like damage, the barbarian sword is like 2.5 to 3 times stronger. Yeah, because yeah, we get the knight's armor really quickly in the game, but we don't use it for that long because it actually lowers agility, which is why we put on Thieves' Armlets, which is a PSP exclusive dungeon piece of equipment. And most of the equipment that we use are actually PSP exclusives, but we don't go through the dungeon. It's slow, so we opt not to, but we will see the cutscene for it, simply because before we enter the last dungeon, we will see it. Poorscythe opting to grab the mithril knife. So we will be seeing a black robe come out of him later on. And the reason he grabs black robe is because the black robe casts Blizzara, and it's actually quicker to use that against some enemies. Not a problem. I do recommend anybody who wants to learn it, join the Discord. We have guides. We actually have 3 different guides. They all take about the same amount of time, just preference on playstyle. Very friendly community. Races tend to last about an hour and a half to an hour and 50 minutes at the most that we've seen. But both of these are pretty good runners, and I really don't see it lasting more than an hour and 40 minutes. But yeah, we just seen HolySmith glitch some of the barbarian swords, and I didn't see if he actually did that on all of the characters or not. That is one of the major route divergences, is how many barbarian swords you put on. And looking at his party order right now, I don't think he put barbarian swords on the mages. And the major thing about the equipment glitch is we can actually put equipment on people that can't normally equip it. And that is also the reason why we have our party composition the way we do. Simply because who can equip what and what it turns into. So we're seeing Poorscythe go through the destruction of land, poor wildlife, but we need it to move on. HolySmith is entering the Earth Cave for the first time, or as some of the commentators like to call it, the Bat Cave, and you will see why in this next floor. There are bats in here, and they are NPCs. They can block the way, and they are kind of annoying. We tend to get blocked by them on occasion. But other than that, an easy path through. Realistically, until they enter the final dungeon, anything can happen. It just depends on what RNG they get. This game does like to troll runners. I am also a runner of this game, and it likes to troll runners. So, like, yeah, right now we're seeing HolySmith get kind of some bad encounters. Opting not to safety save there at the start of B3, that is interesting. B3 is notorious because it has cockatrices, and they can petrify you. And his last safety save was outside of... And there, look. Petrification. His last save was outside of Earth Cave, so he'd have to walk all the way back in. Poorscythe making the Mage's Staff there. And that one, or whenever you use it as an item, it casts Fira. But seeing our first unrunnable on HolySmith screen, the Pisco Demons, using Judgment Staff, can't run from them. Game does not tell you, so just let's try. But yeah, essentially this is kind of the same as Game Boy Advance version. We have the equipment glitch. We do actually have people who run the Game Boy Advance version alongside the PSP version. So here we're fixing to see the vampire on HolySmith screen, and we're going to talk about the vampire here. Okay, so we got through that. Poorscythe is actually right on HolySmith's tail here, entering the Cavern of Earth, making his way down, and we will be seeing him do the same fight, and HolySmith is grabbing the Star Ruby. Now, there is a door off to the right that you can see, and it leads further in, except for we can't actually go further in. We need an item called the Earth Rod. And in order to get the Earth Rod, we needed the Star Ruby to get a giant to move out of the way. And yes, by a vampire. That's the reason why I really didn't talk about the vampire, is because of the fact that it dies so quickly that there's no reason to talk about it. But here we are actually seeing Poorscythe. He did catch up. He is pretty much right behind HolySmith, whereas he was about a minute or two behind before. Yes, Ruby Snacks. And we are seeing HolySmith get a little bit of bad RNG. Poorscythe could potentially get better RNG and actually come back ahead. We'll see if Commentator's Curse works on that or not. But HolySmith again opting to use Judgment Staff simply because it gets rid of ooh, that is a cockatrice ambush, and that's no bueno. So opting to flee with 2 characters and use Judgment Staff with 1, that is the safest way to do it. Simply because if you don't run, you can still kill them in that turn. But essentially right now they are neck and neck. RNG can still vary this race a little bit. But here we will be seeing HolySmith leave the Earth Cave and head left through the Giant's Cave. And that will be where he will give the Star Ruby to the Giant. And in an unskippable cutscene type thing where it just moves and takes forever. Yeah. And then we never see this Giant again. Except for when Poorscythe gets there. No clue where he goes. He just walks up and then disappears. Right into a dead end. Yes, pray to RNG, Jesus. So one thing to talk about here real quick, since we are starting to get our first of the unrunnable encounters, anytime that they get into a battle, one of 3 things can happen. They can either be ambushed, they can have just a normal encounter, or they can have a preemptive strike. Well, with unrunnables, if you get a preemptive strike, you can always run away with a preemptive strike. So they're really hoping for a minimal amount of ambushes, or at least if they do get ambushes, they're with a small group of enemies, and preferably they always want preemptive strikes. But we can't manipulate that, so here we see HolySmith and Poorscythe both going through the Sage's Cavern to talk to Sada and grab the Earth Rod. And they will be leaving and taking that back to the Earth Cave. The only way this could be quicker is if they had emergency exit, which is a item that they can get from playing the minigame on a boat. We do actually have a couple runners in the tournament that do the minigame, but after 2 or 3 attempts, the minigame's actually slower than walking out. So you hope to get it in the first try, and it's a 1 in 6 chance, and you have to wait for, I think it's like the time gap between 30 seconds and a minute. That's the only place it shows up. So it's kind of a waiting game for that, but it does save the walkout of Earth Cavern, and the other place that it's actually good is Ice Cavern, but generally we use it for Earth Cavern because Ice Cavern's typically not too bad as long as you safety save. But here we see them both going back to the Earth Cavern. It doesn't take about 30 seconds. It takes 30 seconds or longer because it has to be in that time bracket. But yes, it is a 1 in 6 chance. Here we will be seeing them walk through Earth Cave again. Yeah, it definitely does save 2 or 3 minutes depending on RNG. But here we will be seeing them walk through Batcave Central. They've already killed Batman. Regards to his family. HolySmith opting to safety save this time, simply because Cockatrice Ambush can petrolock your team, and nothing you can do about it. All the gold needles in the world will not save you from being stoned per se on your first turn. Poorscythe opting to safety save as well. So realistically, anything can still happen. Right now, they're extremely close. This is actually a bad encounter for HolySmith. We do not want to see a paralysis lock. It's not a very good thing to have happen. It's actually worth doing in a race as well. We've actually seen one person who's behind, and because the RNG that his opponent got walking out of the cave and him having the emergency exit, he ended up winning that race. There was no way for his opponent to catch up, simply just because of RNG. Poorscythe actually had worse encounters at the beginning, and he's getting fairly decent encounters now. So RNG is being pretty decent to him right now. That can change at a moment's notice. But B4, not as fun as B3. It's actually a little bit worse. B5 is a pretty leisurely walk most times. Seeing Poorscythe get a Pisco Demon encounter, opting to try to run from the unrunnable. But well, it also depends on the runner. Some people are good at it, like I'm not good at the puzzle, so I don't do it. But other people that have practiced it, they do it. We see HolySmith there healing up his mages and not his warrior and thief. And we will be seeing Poorscythe do the same. The reason being is, regardless of whether we heal him up or not, Lich's Blizzara will kind of demolish you regardless. Oh, White Mage actually staying alive. Opting to try to let it kill him. HolySmith probably should reset there. But here we will be seeing Poorscythe hopefully get the optimal one. Reason we safety save is because Blizzard is essentially a one-turn kill, and then you have to deal with all of this. Poorscythe opting to just go ahead and retry. Lich has 1,200 HP, and with Barbarian Swords, typically it only takes 2 hits. HolySmith opting to stick it out and actually winning. We have had some poor unfortunate souls get Blizzard locked. Had 4 Blizzards in one race. But Poorscythe taking care of it, going through the same unskippable cutscene of crystal lighting up, healing the land per se, and then we'll be seeing a statue disappear for one of the GBA bonus dungeons that's in this game. The reset paid off to an extent, or the no reset. Had HolySmith reset, his reset's actually faster than Poorscythe's reset, simply because I do believe HolySmith is running on emulator and Poorscythe is running on actual console. And the difference is, like, both are accepted, but the difference is the console itself has slower save and restarts. But other than that, like, it actually doesn't have a little bit of lag going into encounters and then world map going into like a town or a dungeon. So they're really comparable. But here we're still seeing them neck and neck. This is around the perfect time to try to let the warrior and the thief die, simply because it saves time in the next place that they're going. Because they kind of need them to die anyway. Here we actually see them getting on the boat, especially on Poorscythe's screen. Going to Crescent Lake because we need a canoe. Thing about the boat in this game, you can only dock at dock tiles, and the special thing about having the canoe is then you can start docking at rivers, and we need that to get to the ice cave. When you talk to the guy that gives you the canoe, he wants you to go to Mount Gold. We're not doing that. We don't need to right now. Having an airship's more important, and we kind of want the floater or Levistone. So we go to Ice Cavern first. Here, because of RNG, Poorscythe actually pulled into the lead. And in this next town, we will be seeing Poorscythe not only get the black robe I talked about earlier that casts Blizzard when you use it, he will be creating black garbs, which have higher defense, evasion, and accuracy. Opting to buy some ethers as well. And then he will be creating on the mages what's known as the Lust Dagger. And the reason the Lust Dagger is nice, being a PSP exclusive item, it also increases agility and allows the mages to run a lot easier. And that's realistically what we want. I did not see if he put it on the white mage or not. I want to assume that he did, but we will see. And then we will be seeing HolySmith do the same exact menuing. For the most part, I do believe. I do believe I've seen HolySmith use the Mage's Staff as well, so he did get the leather shield from the pirate fight. Yeah, realistically, that is the one major thing. You really can't save time in this game, hoping on RNG. So what people try to do is make sure that their movement and then their menus are on point, because that saves a bit of time. Having some issue getting the last dagger there. But HolySmith's menus are complete, and he shall be getting the canoe. But on Poorscythe's screen, we see that he docked at the river and is making his way over to the... And the first thing that you will see is they will save, hopefully. Not really more than a minute apart. RNG can happen, and if HolySmith gets good RNG, he can actually be there in 30 seconds. But now I can talk about the Cavern of Ice. This place is the worst. Anybody who runs the game will probably agree with me. Especially if you're doing like PB attempts, this place is a make or break point. So the reason Ice Cave is scary is there's a lot of encounters that can troll you. There's Pisco demons. I do believe there's cockatrices here. You have the Dark Wizards that if they ambush you, Fire-Aga wipes you regardless. There you go. Ask and you shall receive. And just a lot of other nasty stuff here. Hey, Dark Wizard. But right now, really just hoping that the Warrior and Thief end up dead. That is why HolySmith is leaving his Warrior dead. Because we needed to grind at Evil Eye right there in front of the Levistone. And it just makes things easier. One thing to note as well, they're actually getting decent HP rolls, and as I stated earlier, those that missed it, HP rolls are absolutely a necessity. We want decent ones. If they get above 250, then generally they're safe. They don't need to use Giant's Tonics, and that just saves around. Because Giant's Tonics add 200 to max HP for the duration of that battle, and we need them against Chaos. So here we are seeing Poorscythe get somewhat petrified, or paralyzed, my bad. And HolySmith is now catching up a little bit, getting another Pisco Demon fight. And I guess now would be a nice time to talk about the items that they created. So we see the use of the Judgment Staff. The Judgment Staff's flare animation takes about 8 seconds, and it's really slow. Some of these encounters, you'll see that they'll opt to use the Mage's Staff, which is different from Judgment Staff. It casts Fira, it's like 4 seconds faster. Another lucky encounter there. There's the Black Robe, which casts Blizzara, and they will be getting the Gauntlets a little bit later on, which casts Thundara. And it's a lot quicker than using the Judgment Staff, which is actually what we used to do up until newer routes came out. Here we are seeing Poorscythe go into the Evil Eye encounter. It is the forced encounter, and he got exactly what he was hoping for there with Thundara. And now he can just take the Evil Eye out. Lost Daggers actually have decent damage on these. So we'll be seeing him grind up to level 18 on his mages, and then another fight afterwards. That way, whenever he leaves the Citadel of Trials, he's level 19. He can go grab his magic. HolySmith opting to Judgment Staff that forced encounter there on the drop down. And he shall be making his way to the Levistone and Evil Eye encounter. And he'll start his grind. So the one thing about the Lost Dagger, like the Evil Eye does have some decent stats, but Lost Dagger just makes them go faster. technically this is a dungeon that you're supposed to have or be doing after Mount Gold, but equipment glitch, we kind of just do what we want. Unfortunately, I'm not counting the levels for the runners. So we'll see here in a second what Poorscythe's at. He's at 17, so that's actually not bad. Opting to raise his thief here. Opting to leave early. That is interesting. You will be seeing Poorscythe fight a couple more things, simply for the experience, but opting to raise his thief because he needs HP on his thief. One thing to note, Poorscythe's Black Mage has 144 HP, so it's a little bit anemic, more anemic than we want. HolySmith is actually having good HP rolls on all of his characters. So that could be a difference come the Chaos fight, especially if the race is close. Just not having to do that Giant's Tonic and having that round for attacking can make a bit of a difference. So here we'll be seeing Poorscythe make his way out, opting to leave Warrior dead because experience rules. You get 3,000 experience points. It splits it 4 ways if all 4 characters are dead. With having 3 characters alive, they each get 1,000. So kind of worth it to leave the Warrior dead. Right now, Poorscythe, but it's still anybody's race. This game has no RNG manipulation. The only manipulation that the RNG has is what the runners get. HolySmith with the Dark Wizarding. And that's that Fire Rock guy I was talking about. So hopefully HolySmith survives and can run. He does, thank God, because that would be a restart. And another one, but it's preemptive. This is kind of why emergency exit is nice to have for this place, but can't buy it anywhere. So they'll be making their way back to the boat, and they'll actually be traveling to the south of the continent, specifically for the Ryukon Desert, and that is where the Levistone will activate and give them the airship. World map travel, you have your walking speed. The boat is 2 times faster than walking speed, and the airship is 4 times faster than walking speed. Plus, it doesn't get encounters. Downside to the airship, though, everywhere we need to go, we have to park far away. So we will be spending time walking. We used to have debates in the past, so I hear, that people were wondering whether the airship was faster to grab before Citadel or after, and there was an actual, like, people checked it out, getting the airships faster, because there is a way to dock near the Citadel of Trials, but you'd have to come all the way back in order to go to Dragon Caves. So it's a lot easier just to grab airship now. And we've seen Poorscythe, I do believe, safety save. The desert here has sandworms, and if it ambushes you, Earthquake just demolishes your party. But other than that, he will be going to the Citadel of Trials to grab the Rat's Tail. We need it for the class change, which we do actually do in this version. Getting pretty good RNG on his way there, too. HolySmith will be doing the same track, opting not to safety save. And here we are in the Citadel of Trials. And this first area is kind of a maze. Minotaur zombies. Those are unrunners. So the trick to this maze area, the southernmost teleporter will always take you where you need to go. If there's more than one teleporter, it's always the southern teleporter. So hoping that they don't get Minotaurs on encounters. And then on the next floor, they will be having a couple of forced encounters, both in the same spot, but it is a nightmare enemy. Of course, if you know like D&D mythos, which is where most of the enemies from this game is pulled. But they will be fighting those. And the reason they fight it twice right here is because they need the healing staff. Simply because I do believe it turns into something that we use later. The robes, if I am correct on that. And then they have to go back through. And the healing staff actually cures if you use it as an item. And then they will be grabbing the gauntlets on this floor as well. So realistically, both are pretty much at the same point. They are neck and neck at the moment. HolySmith opting to flee. We call this encounter an unrunnable, but it has just such a low run rate that we just consider it quicker to fight them rather than try to fight or run from them. Yeah. An ambush there. That is unfortunate. They get to go first and opting for longer. So Poorscythe will be grabbing the rat's tail here, and then the encounter before the chair is a dragon zombie encounter. And that's just simply a forced encounter. We don't grind here generally, simply because this encounter can vary. It can have 2 dragons, it could have 1. It's not very consistent as to which we get. But that looks to be at least level 19. I did not see if Poorscythe got another level up. But HolySmith having kind of a bad Rakshasa encounter. I butchered that, but it's fine. So opting to grab gauntlets. I don't think we actually turn those into anything. I don't even remember what item they turn into. But yeah, going through the same fight, and then they have to backtrack all the way to the airship, and that's simply for being able to go to the Dragon Caverns and class change. Okay, the gauntlets actually turn into the golden staff. I actually had to look it up. We do have a doc. But after this, we may see a little bit of route diversion. Some runners opt to get the fairy bottle, which turns into Oxyale. Some runners skip it because we go to Mount Gold next. And you can do it in whichever order you want. There's really not too much of a time difference between what they do. But they'll generally meet back up around Onrak, right before the Sunken Shrine. And that's when the routes converge again. This is really the only point where routes diverge. So we're seeing Poorscythe opt to put lordly robes on his white mage. From this point on, you will be seeing white mage, white wizard be using all of these spellcasting items. And the reason being is they run off the character's intelligence, and at this point, white wizard typically has the highest intelligence stat, and the lordly robes just make it even more so. Poorscythe opting to get the fairy bottle here. I personally believe it's quicker as a runner of this game to grab it here, simply because Gaia is also right there, and instead of having to make the trek back, might as well do it while we're here. Also opting to buy the Giant's Tonic here. Simply because it's safer for the last battle. We kind of need the HP. And both his Ninja and his Black Wizard are kind of anemic HP-wise. So we are seeing HolySmith opt to actually do his spell shopping here, which is a little bit safer. Grabbing Heal Aura, which heals the entire party. Grabbing Teleport, which allows him to go back to the last floor or to exit a town quicker. And we will be using that quite a bit. And then this will be their last trip back to Elfheim on HolySmith screen. Reason being is we need a spell called Haste. And for those that have played the later entries of Final Fantasies, they have the active time battle system. This game does not, but Haste is here. It is a Black Mage spell, and what it does is it doubles the attack, or the amount of attacks that whoever is hasted has. So instead of the warrior doing 3 attacks in that one turn, he does 6. So it just makes it a little bit nicer. This will be the last time that you'll probably see HolySmith use his potions, as he now has. Poorscythe opting to go straight to Mount Gold. There we go. So they're pretty even. There is a little bit of variance between the two of them, but they're pretty even, and we are seeing them opt to safety save here. Reason being is, while they are on the lava tiles, since it is a damage tile, they do not take an encounter, or they will not get an encounter. But anytime they step off that lava tile, they have a chance to get an encounter, like Poorscythe did there. And if you're not paying attention, you can end up with maybe 3 to 4 HP between all your characters, and an ambush will wipe. Especially if it's Hellhounds, because they just cast Blaze, and it hits everybody for like 45 damage. But they will be making their way down to the bottom floor where Carrie or Merilith will be, and hoping not to get too many encounters. This is actually the fastest game in my... And right there, you seen that HolySmith had like 1 HP on 3 people. It's a very scary thing if you get in an ambush. But right now, they are neck and neck. Poorscythe still has to do shopping for his spells. HolySmith still has to do his Oxyel shopping and his Giant's Tonic. But we will be seeing them meet back up at Onrak and the Sunken Shrine. And just a very quick and clean kill on Holy screen. Hopefully we will see the same thing on Port side. And fairly clean fight on Poorscythe's side. Hopefully his Thief and his Black Mage get some decent HP rolls if they level up. Look like somebody leveled up and got HP. But here we will be seeing another cutscene like we had with Lich. Crystal lights up, and then another bonus dungeon was unlocked. But we don't do bonus dungeons, and any percent, they're not needed. And then they will be leaving. So one thing to note for new runners, or anybody interested in this game, the airship movement is kind of tricky because there's not really a ton of lamps, and you can get kind of lost. We've had some runners do it, and it's very unfortunate. It can cost you the lead. But here we will be seeing HolySmith buy the fairy bottle and Giant's Tonics, and he will be going to Gaia. Whereas Poorscythe will be buying his spells on his way back up to Onrak. Thankfully, that's where most of the time difference there's not too much time variance as to which way you do it, because simply the spells are either on your way to Onrak or on your way to Mount Golg. So it just depends on where you want to place them. So here we see Poorscythe doing the same buying process that HolySmith did, while HolySmith is grabbing the Oxyel like Poorscythe did. He did buy Healara. Yeah, his towns were backwards compared to HolySmith's towns. Simply because he came from Mount Golg rather than buying it on his way to Mount Golg. But now they're in the same exact spot. We actually see that Poorscythe is in the lead. And HolySmith shall be landing here. Poorscythe getting blocked by the blue hair man. Very, very frustrating. Holy. Okay, so he's just wanting to block his path quite a while. HolySmith actually in an unrunnable encounter. And that did cost Poorscythe a little bit of time, allows HolySmith to catch up, but unrunnable encounter. So here in Sunken Shrine, we will be actually seeing the first use of teleport. Yeah, it was awful. NPCs in this game are kind of trolly as well. Better blue hair guy encounter on HolySmith's side. But this dungeon, we will be seeing the use of quite a bit of different items. If he gets ghouls or ghosts, which are unrunnable, he will be using Mage's Staff, or they both will. Water elementals will be the Black Robe, and then the Sahagin princes and chiefs, they will be using gauntlets. But there are two paths in this dungeon left that goes up to, or down to Kraken, and this one that goes up to the Rosetta Stone. We need the Rosetta Stone. It is another fetch quest. And here we will be seeing the use of gauntlets by the White Wizard. But we need the Rosetta Stone. The next floor that they go on is a floor with no encounters. And we may see a little bit of route divergence here. We actually were looking at a potential reverse boss order route, and when it was being created, we thought we had to go up to the second floor for the light axe, and there's actually one on the fourth floor. So some runners tend to go for fourth floor light axe, some tend to go for the second floor, which is the older strat. The reason it makes a difference is we get survival vests out of it, and that's our pretty much in-game equipment that we use. I do believe in Poorscythe's run earlier today, he opted for fourth floor, and still opting for fourth floor. We found out that fourth floor is around 4 tiles faster, and if you do it before you teleport back up, it's actually a little bit quicker, depending on your menuing. But you have that unrunnable, or you have that agility that plus its defenses, and it just saves you a little bit for a couple floors. You will see that they're opting to not put Lordly Robes on the armor slot, because if they do, it has a regen property, and it gives you health back every turn. And it's slower, we don't want it. So be saying teleport here. And while it looks like Poorscythe's behind, depending on HolySmith's second floor menu, he could end up behind. Opting to use Mage's Staff on the Ghost on HolySmith's side of the screen, simply because it is a quicker animation. And you'll notice the floor numbers, they tend to backtrack between floors a lot. This place is kind of a maze, but we have it memorized. we've all run it enough that we have it memorized. Yeah, so the armor effects don't happen when they're not on the correct side. Also, one thing to notice here on HolySmith's screen when he grabbed that light axe, there is actually forced encounter tiles on the left and the bottom side. And on the 4th floor light axe, there is no forced encounters anywhere around that chest. But one thing to note, the reason that they've not really been using the shield slot until now is simply because the fact of if you put the wrong thing on the shield slot, because it doesn't have an animation, it will lock the game up. So we typically don't use it until we get the items that are needed. Survival vest, lordly robes, ribbon. All 3 of those, which are the main ones we use, are safe to put on the shield slot. But here we do actually see Poorscythe in the lead. HolySmith not too far behind. And they will be going to fight Kraken. So the fight with Kraken, pretty easy fight. Actually the easiest of the 4 fiends, simply because we have a ton of defense and a ton of offensive power. And there is 2 routes to Kraken's area. The route Poorscythe went is the faster of the 2. HolySmith is used to the top route, and it's a little bit slower, but not by too much. And yeah, the race is pretty close despite RNG. And we can actually see on the timers, Poorscythe's is red while HolySmith's is green. They are both running against their PBs. And Poorscythe actually has a 125 PB and HolySmith has a 135. But that's just the nature of this game. RNG can have varying effects. Not to downplay anybody's time, because they definitely deserve that time for sticking with this game as long as they have. And as much work as they've put in. But RNG can make anything happen. So as we can see, Kraken hits HolySmith's ninja, does 6 damage. That's how much defense we have. A major scary thing though right now is they don't have a lot in terms of elemental defense, which we will be remedying here very shortly. Waterfall Cave, the next area that we go to, they will be going to. Has the warp cube that we need to access Flying Fortress for the last fiend, and the ribbon. There is actually a ribbon in Sunken Shrine, but most runners opt not to grab it, simply because we get it really closely anyway. And what it does is it halves all elemental damage and prevents instant death attacks. So, Waterfall Cavern, high encounter rate. Hopefully we won't see too many encounters. Nightmares are here, as seen there. And just good old time. After this, instead of going straight to the next dungeon, we have a little bit of fetch quest to finish. We grab the Rosetta Stone, and the Rosetta Stone, that's the thing about this one. The PSP version added the instant death protection, and there's kind of no pro ring that I know of in this version. But the major thing is we have to finish our fetch quest. We grab the Rosetta Stone. We need to go back to Dr. Une and Melmond to learn a new language that we learn in very few hops and some hand movement. And then we have to go to Lufenia to learn, or to get the chime to allow access to the Mirage Tower, which is our entry point into the the second to last dungeon. And right here, we actually see them right there at the same spot. which is really nice to see. They should be doing their menus here. They may opt to... Oh, no, they're doing their menu here. This is the one time that we actually menu for something that we want. We have it, but we want it. So what we do is we create the Gigantax. And because the IDs are the same, we actually turn the Gigantax into a ribbon, but we put it on the shield slot. Simply because we need the armors that we have. So here we are going to see them go to Melman, talk to Dr. Une, PhD in different languages. Ooh, HolySmith trying to run from an unrunnable there. Hellhounds and Ogre Mages are unrunnable. Depending on how many times I use Blaze, it is a bit of a time loss. But after they learn the language, they will teleport out. And they will be making a long trek to Lufenia, simply for the chime. And this is actually the last fetch quest in the game. So you're looking, RNG permitting, maybe about 20 minutes left. For those that were asking how long the run is, we are in the last stretches of it, and it is still anybody's race. So this trek here is kind of a pain. We'll see if they get it. Hopefully not. I don't want to jinx it because Commentator's Curse is kind of a thing. And we do actually see it. Minotaur zombies make a return. They are unrunnable. Mage's Staff wipes them out pretty quickly. And HolySmith will now be doing the same trek over to Lufenia that Poorscythe has just done. And all simply for the chime. Lufenia is not a very nice place. I say that, it actually is. The reason I say it's not, however, is because of the fact that lots of narrow hallways and NPCs. So hopefully Poorscythe does not have an on-rack time. That one just moved. That one is still in the way. HolySmith tried to run from an unrunnable. Minotaur zombies are unfortunately unrunnable. And it just costs time. And we will be seeing another teleport here. And now the trek back has to be made, and you will be seeing them high five on the way to and from Lufenia. And HolySmith will be now trying to grab the chime, and Poorscythe will be going back to his airship to go to Mirage Tower. Can't get in without the chime, unfortunately. Not getting... Oh, there we go. That one NPC. Same NPC too, by the way. But here they will be going to Mirage Tower, parking as closely as they can to it. And this place is alright. We are actually seeing vampires here. And vampires have a special property. If they're by themselves, they're unrunnable. But if they're in a group, they're runnable. It's essentially a flaw in the programming. Not a very good one. But we kind of abuse the fact of that. And hopefully Poorscythe can run from this encounter. Judgment Staff may have been a better option there. Just to get rid of them, because they may still be able to get petrified. I'm not too far into it, but this encounter is just completely wasting time for Poorscythe at the moment. And I want everybody to start getting hype right now, because this next dungeon that they will be entering from this dungeon has the best enemy that we've only seen once in this tournament, and we consider it the validation enemy. Yeah, it's because it was a boss encounter in Cavern Earth, so it's still considered a boss encounter if there's just one of them. But like, everybody start blessing RNG. We really want to see Warmech, and it in the NES version was considered a super boss. Not so much in this one, but really want to see it. It is a 1 in 64 encounter on a very low encounter rate floor, and it is the floor right that holds Tiamat. We call it the Hype Bridge. We hope to see it, but again, we've only seen it once in this tournament, so. Here on Poorscythe's screen, as he enters the store, he is going to get what is a 1 in 64 encounter, except for it is forced on the tile that he is on, and it is the Blue Dragon. Had he got it anywhere else, it would have been a rare encounter, but that one is forced, and we will be seeing him go to the Flying Fortress. HolySmith trying to catch up the second floor. We want to see it because it's a rare encounter. It's a fun enemy. We like to get hyped up for rare encounters, which we've not actually seen one this entire race, sadly. Warmech actually has a chance to wipe the party too. Commentator wants to see it just for fun. Realistically, if they don't get ambushed, they're fine. But if they get ambushed, it's not a very good time. But it is essentially just a validation enemy. If you've watched A Link to the Past randomizer, it's essentially the validation chest. But we will be seeing them both go into Flying Fortress. And the floor that Poorscythe is on is actually a very interesting floor. It has an interesting property. It is, if you go left, you will always go back to the same teleporter. And it's the same for any direction. So typically we go 2 directions one way, and then we'll either turn 90 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise from that, and it takes us straight to the teleporter. I am actually a Link to the Past runner myself, and I do enjoy the randomizer for it, but I'm the tournaments. So here we are seeing HolySmith go through the same exact process Poorscythe went through, and again, this is still a close race. Anything can happen. So until chaos bites the dust, this is anyone's game. And here Poorscythe is actually on the Warmech floor. So we definitely want RNG to happen, and we definitely want Warmech. Just validation. But doesn't look like we're gonna get it. There's still a chance while Poorscythe. Oh, Warmech. So, Poorscythe getting Warmech. It is the second Warmech that we've had, but Poorscythe's run is completely validated now. Obviously, moving on, though, Poorscythe is already qualified, so is HolySmith. But hey, we got Warmech. So the RNG happened. HolySmith and Poorscythe still have a chance for another Warmech encounter. If anybody clipped the Warmech, please post it in chat. We do keep track of who gets what rare encounter. So it'd be great to see. But yeah, pretty much it is validation. If you see it, you can win. Not really, but we like to pretend. Let me find out real quick. It looks like Gosu had the first War Mech encounter in this tournament, and that was his run on February 17th. The first and no longer the only one. So here we will be seeing them leave, and they will be going to the Chaos Shrine, the very first dungeon of the game. And funny enough, also the last one. But yeah, the race is close. Anything can still happen. Here we are actually seeing the cutscene for the entrance to the PSP bonus dungeon, and thank you for that clip. Greatly appreciate it. And now they will be going into the true part of the Chaos Shrine, and it takes place in, like, I do believe the lore says like 2,000 to 3,000 years in the past, but we will be seeing a safety save here. This is the final dungeon, and anybody who knows this game, they know that most of the key items are just one and done items. Oh hey, purple worms, also unrunnable. But we have one item that we grabbed that we've not used yet. Oh, 2,000, thank you. There's like a variance between versions, it's weird. But we have one key item that we haven't used yet, and we will be using here on this floor, and it is the loot. So they will be playing the Crystal Melody after they fight the Death Eye here, and all of its tones, and that'll allow them access to the last part of the dungeon. And the older versions, there is actually, you can skip the loot and you kind of get stuck here. Green dragons are also a unrunnable. They're actually a rare encounter in Waterfall. I do believe it's 3,000 in this one. It gets really weird when they do remakes like this, but loot hype, and both runners are neck and neck. I am really hyped to see this. I love seeing close races. The last race I actually commentated had a time difference of 36 seconds. Yeah, you get it. In this game, it actually forces you to get it, but like the NES and PS1 versions, you can actually skip it. Like, you're not forced to grab it. So you can get soft locked into this dungeon because you can't leave it. Once you're in there, you can't leave. Except for, I think, by emergency exit. But both getting unrunnable encounters, it's a very unfortunate thing to have happen. But we will be seeing them make their way back through, and on this next floor, we call it the Earth floor, or next floor on HolySmith's side, I think. Oh, you can leave with the exit. But yeah, essentially emergency exit. White dragons here. The enemies are still kind of scary. Anything can still happen. Yeah, he does. Thank you for noticing. But for right now, HolySmith is ahead. Not as funny as the other guy. Maybe. I don't know. I've not talked to HolySmith all that much. He could be funny. Never know. The floor that they are now on is dubbed the Earth floor, and we call it the Earth floor because we have to refight Lich here. Yeah, it's this tight in the final dungeon. Glad you can join us. Yeah, War Mech hype. But yeah, it's been close the entire time. This has been a really good raid. Both black mages are looking a bit anemic. Not really the HP rolls that we want. But definitely a very good show from both runners. Definitely repping the game. And here we see Lich 2. And Lich comes with a new ability called Flare instead of Blizzara. But second verse, same as the first. We're going to attack him and just hope he dies. Could be a little bit of a sticky situation. The next couple of floors will be kind of back and forth between the runners. HolySmith hanging in there. Poorscythe just pulled back in the lead, and they're actually both done with Lich at the same time. So the difference is HolySmith has to do a menu to bring back his mage and his thief, while Poorscythe goes on to the fire. And the fun fact about where the bosses are, if you actually step off that tile and back onto it, you have to fight that boss. It is a forced encounter. So, not really too many unrunnables on this floor. I actually don't think there are any. I could be wrong. But here we will fight Marilith for the second time, and both runners entering the fight at the same exact time. I am absolutely loving this run. I shouldn't be biased. I am. I love this run. I actually don't have anybody who I want to win. Just the last two races I've commentated have been really close, and I'm really enjoying it. So next floor, the one that Poorscythe, it is the water floor, and we will be fighting Kraken at the end of it. Here we will be seeing the black robe used, I do believe for the first time, actually. Water elementals, a lot of people would figure, hey, use gauntlets that cast Thundara. Well, they're water, they don't really have a ground, so lightning just goes through them. Realistically, like, the War Mech, it's just something fun for us runners. Some of us have really wanted some of the rare encounters. But it really isn't much of a difference. It just allowed HolySmith to catch up and made this race a lot closer, actually. I am very thankful for it because I'm really enjoying seeing this. This could actually be our tightest race yet. And I do actually want to say that where they entered this dungeon, if their chaos fights go well, HolySmith could actually PB. So this could be a couple second PB for him. And let me actually pull up their PBs real quick, because I don't have them memorized. So Poorscythe's actual PB is an hour 25 minutes and 42 seconds, and HolySmith's is an hour 35 10 seconds. So we may see a PB out of HolySmith. And yeah, that could be the thing, but both runners have actually been trying to run from unrunnable. And I can't say I blame them, because sometimes you're just in the habit of pressing L and R at the same time anytime you see a screen, and then you get like a split second. And good B forward all the way up to Tiamat for HolySmith as well. So we still have one more menu before the Chaos fight. And it is White Mage centric. They will be putting a Barbarian sword, but they will be putting a Golden Staff on the White Wizard, and then instead of Survival Vest on the armor slot, they will actually be putting Clothes back on the White Mage. The reason being is we actually want the White Mage... Oh, Ribbon instead. We actually want the White Mage to slow down a little bit, and we want her to be at the end of the turn. Reason being is we always want her to heal up Chaos. So we actually see Poorscythe saving, and he is now going into the Chaos fight. And we will be seeing HolySmith through the menu as well. Menu is very important. We want to stack as much intelligence on the White Wizard that we can, simply because we want her to be able to heal as much as possible. And I don't believe either of them grabbed the grabbed haste on their ninja either, because the ninja can also learn haste. Ooh, confuses what he's doing here. Oh, Barbarian sword. Okay. So we may have an extreme close race here, depending on how bad Chaos trolls. Ooh, that is what we didn't want to see. We did not want to see a magic cycle first. Hopefully the Black Mage lives through that. If the Black Mage doesn't, that is a reset. Oh, and he does. Oh, thank God. So Chaos has started his magic cycle. And that's kind of bad on first turn. Magic cycle progressively gets worse. And it could actually be the difference here. So what we are seeing now is they're setting up to be able to just hold X and win. Ooh, and HolySmith got what we really want there. A physical attack first. Physical attacks take less time. Whereas Chaos went through his magic cycle with Poorscythe. And hopefully the Black Mage doesn't die there. Ooh, that is extremely scary. Another thing is that Poorscythe still needs to put haste on his Black Mage. Ooh, and hasting the ninja twice on the side. So okay, that was negated. Earthquake is scary. It is an death attack. However, we have Ribbon, so not too big of a deal. It looks like HolySmith is opting not to use the Giant's Tonic on the ninja, so that could make a difference. That has saved him a tiny bit of time. And now he is hasting his Black Mage and will be in hold X to win mode. We are also seeing Poorscythe in hold X to win mode. So hopefully we see a finish here anytime soon. And we actually have a finish from Poorscythe. A real time of 1 hour 33:09 and an SRL time of 3:11. So everybody give Poorscythe GG's, and let's hope HolySmith catches up. Ooh, opting the Phoenix down. Generally we don't opt to revive anybody, but here we are seeing HolySmith just trying to finish Chaos in a good position. and the restart of the map type. And HolySmith has beaten Chaos, and that is actually a new PB. HolySmith finished with a real time of 1 hour 34 seconds and an SRL time of 1 hour 34 minutes and 24 seconds. So, looking to see about 1 minute and 13 seconds difference between them. So that is still a very close race. That is actually our third closest race in the tournament. So, congrats to both runners. Poorscythe actually has said that he is still feeling sick, so he will not be doing an interview. But it looks like we will be grabbing HolySmith for an interview. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, HolySmith. How do you feel that run went?
Well, that was close.
Oh yeah, it was definitely close. Poorscythe actually ended up getting back, and that it tied you guys up.
Yeah, that's what I see. I got a good start, but after I think you call Blizzaga with Lynch. So
You guys had actually been close this entire race. Maybe a minute at most between the two of you all the way up until the end. You guys were actually encountering or doing the boss encounters like right neck and neck.
Nice.
So how do you feel about that run?
Well, that was hype. I don't say anything. I got a lot of emotion. Let's see. Lot of emotion, like raging because got an ambush, or like in the Mirage Tower when I cast a teleport.
Oh yeah,
I think you see that.
RNG was not kind to either of you, but you still managed to PB. How does that feel?
Well, that's sad because that's good and sad at the same time because Chaos killed my ninja. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I seen that and I was like, man, that just no. I really wanted it to be close. I was kind of hoping for you guys to end up like in first place on our close races, because there for a second, like you guys were maybe 11 seconds apart in some spots, and I was extremely fired up for it. But
well, I hope you give a good commentary.
I appreciate that. Nobody else had actually wanted to do commentary, and I was like, okay, I'm tired, but I'll do it. So,
well, I hope you have enjoyed the race too.
Oh, it was a very fun race to watch. The past two races that I've commentated have been really close, and I really enjoy watching the close races. Even from a player standpoint, I really enjoy just seeing them be this close.
Yeah, same for me. But I was like, before Lich, I was like, oh, he would call him a Blizzaga, like last week, or not? When I said the Blizzaga, I think he called it.
Yeah, but great run. Do you have any shout-outs that you would like to give to anybody?
No, I guess. Well, Poorscythe was a good opponent. I think I be in the bracket now. Maybe because Zelna I forfeit one race. So
yeah, you both are already qualified. That puts Poorscythe actually at 4 wins and you at 2 wins and 2 losses, but you are still qualified and you will be going on to the next part of the tournament. Yeah. So congratulations, this is the last race for you in the group races.
Yeah, but I need to work more. The next opponent will be tougher, yeah. I guess.
We all kind of need to work a little bit more at it, but Final Fantasy 1 does Final Fantasy 1 things.
Well, run of RNG, so you cannot. You try your best, but RNG can wipe you if you want or don't
This
want.
game, Final Fantasy 1 is a very independent PSP game that doesn't need no runners. It just does what it wants.
Yeah.
But we run it, we enjoy it, despite the salt some of us have over it. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give some shout outs. Thanks to Feasel and Speed Gaming for hosting us, especially this late at night. I don't believe there's anything coming up after this. I can't see any more on the schedule at the moment. But thanks to them for being as gracious as they are for hosting us. Please follow the runners. HolySmith doing me a favor and posting the thing for the runners, and me, if you want to follow me, it's up to you guys. I don't really do a lot of commentary.
Go ahead.
But thank you to HolySmith and Poorscythe for running. Thanks for the game, letting it be as close as it was.
Thanks for you for the commentary, and like you said, I forgot Fiesel and Speed Gaming for let us play it on their stream. So,
yeah, definitely, they are a big help, and please follow Speed Gaming. Please subscribe to them. They have multiple channels. They are hosting a ton of races. Link to the Past, Mega Man X4, Super Mario Brothers. Definitely, if you are interested in checking out any of the games that they have linked below the stream, please feel free to do so. All of the games that are being ran are really fun. Definitely worth checking out. And if you guys do want to get involved in Final Fantasy 1 speedrunning, please join our Discord. We're all pretty friendly. We help each other out, console each other after unfortunate PB stuff and how this game treats us. But yes, definitely show some love and support for Speed Gaming, Feasel and his crew. And I do believe that is it for me.
Oh, I forgot one thing. I will shout out Solimus, who make me some speed route nut. So if you want them in French, feel free to ask Solimus or me. I will free to share them. If you don't think you are good in in English and you want a speed run in French, is my first speedrun in French and with a not French, and it's so funny to read at the same time that playing the game.
Definitely. Yeah, because we have some runners from France, some from Europe, and all that, or just from all over the world. We accept everybody. So yeah, definitely. And I'd like to thank everybody who has participated in chat for being here. You guys have been great. So definitely shout outs to everybody in chat. But yeah, I'm done. Thank you for watching.